Hi, guys. So, welcome to Tickers, the new series on the Limitless podcast where we discuss listed companies on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. I'm Matthew Preston,
And I'm Thaon Simms.
and today we'll be talking about Edufocal, ticker as Learn,
And Regency Petroleum, ticker as RPL.
But before we get into the video, we'd love if you guys could subscribe if you're watching on YouTube or follow the podcast on your podcast platform of choice. It really means a lot to us. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. But without further ado, let's get into it, Dan. So I'll probably go first. I'll start with Edufocal. So I'm going to share my...
Why did we choose these companies?
So, you guys can actually pick which company. So let me, I can share my screen. So, but there'll be a link.
What we should do is, leave the link in the description. So it's a new series that we're doing where, if you guys just send in what companies, whatever requests you have, we'll talk about those stocks. So yeah, Preston will drop the link in the description.
So you guys can see here, these were actually the largest companies here. You can see Learn and RPL. So these were the stocks that you guys picked. After this episode, we'll send out a new link and you guys can pick a new set of stocks for us to review. And yeah, we can get into it.
Let's dive right into RPL. Now, what I will say is my things are not as organized as Preston. I came up with no presentation. Didn't realize we were doing presentations.
Learn from Julian.
Yeah, true. Big up Dr. Doom. However, let's just talk. I kind of just like to just have a free-flowing conversation. And we're talking about Regency Petroleum Limited, Company Limited. Regency Petroleum Company Limited, yes. Because, funny enough, the name actually changed. I think last year they changed the name or so on. Mm-hmm. But RPL, Jamaican Petroleum Company, right? I'm not sure how many of you guys know of RPL. They are fairly new. They were listed on the JSE 2022, the end of 2022, December. They were brought to market by GK Capital, Grace Kennedy. The company is founded by CEO Andrew Williams. RPL started operations in LPG, which is liquefied petroleum gas. So just think of it as a petroleum company. Right? They have a license to distribute petroleum products. So they started with the LPG, and LPG is cooking gas, basically. So anytime you hear me say LPG, I'm thinking cooking gas, which is like propane, butane, so the gas cylinders, yes. And they also distribute, they sell automotive fuel, right? So, diesel, 87, 90, those are the things that you want to think of when you think in RPL. So they have those two major segments. It's automotive petroleum, LPG or cooking gas. All right. So in terms of, I don't know if you have a preference with which you want me to start, Preston, or should I just get into it?
No.
All right, let's get it. So let's start with LPG. It's a simpler business model. RPL focuses heavily on bulk LPG. What does that mean? So bulk LPG is any cooking gas that's bigger than the cylinders. So in a lot of homes, you kind of have the 25-pound cylinders. You have 30-pound cylinders. You can have even the taller ones, which are as tall as probably Preston. It's like 100-pound cylinders, right? So you have different sizes. Bulk LPG is bigger than that. It's 100. The prospectus, I think, states up to 2,000 pounds. Or 2,000, gallon tanks, I should say. So yeah, you have from and that who they supply like bakeries, they supply hotels and so on. They supply a lot of those people that need cooking gas with especially bulk. They also do smaller retail LPG, retail cooking gas, and that's growing currently, but most of it is actually bulk LPG. funny enough, last year they signed a contract, it's almost like an agreement with a company called Just Gas. Now, what does Just Gas do? Just Gas distributes, and it's I think it's such a perfect synergy where LPG has LPG and so on. The cooking gas is actually made or they're packaged via RPL, and then Just Gas has an extensive distribution network. However, the distribution network is in Kingston and St. Andrew, and I think some sections of St. Catherine. So that's where Just Gas is. That's their jurisdiction, basically. So they call it just the corporate area. Just Gas they distribute mainly in the corporate area, and they've actually seen growth since signing that agreement, about 8% increase. In LPG sales. So they are growing. When I was watching one of the interviews with CEO Andrew Williams, he was also talking about retail, meaning, if I call RPL and say, I want a cooking gas cylinder in my house to replace the one that I have, then that's when I'm talking about retail sales. So that's those £25, £30, £100 cylinders. It's also experiencing growth, but the growth is more organic. He was saying that it's so capital intensive to grow that part of the business, and we'll talk about competitors soon. But it's super capital intensive to grow that part of the business, because think of it like this: in order to grow it, each customer needs a cylinder, right? Now, when you fill up that cylinder and lend it out, you're not charging them for the gas and the entire cylinder. Charge them for the gas, yes, but maybe a fraction of the cost of the cylinder, because nobody keeps their cylinders. When it's done, you have to give it back to the company, and they give you another one. Now, if let's say I am RPL and I want to expand that segment, and he packaged it pretty well, so I'm trying not to be inaccurate, but what he was saying is each parish has, if you need it costs around maybe 10 mil, 20 mil in order to just create the amount of, or acquire the amount of cylinders that's needed for that parish. And when you lend it out for a fraction of the price of the cylinders themselves. So let's say the actual cylinder costs 10 grand, right? You can only charge the customer maybe $1,000 or maybe up to $2,000 for the cylinder itself, not just the gas inside of it. And then that's gone. That's money gone from the company. They don't recoup that until they get back the cylinder, and so it's harder to grow that. It's very capital intensive to grow that. So they've been focusing heavily on bulk sales to a lot of restaurants, as hotels, bakeries, etc. So that's LPG. And they started with LPG, but now they've been moving towards expanding significantly, and they're super aggressive in expanding automotive petroleum. Now, automotive petroleum, what does that mean? That's, when you go up to I don't know which other gas station you use. I'm trying to think of another gas station.
Total.
I personally use like Total, right? Total. Texaco is also one.
Texaco.
Fesco, etc. And you drive up and you say you can fill up the tank 90, right? That's how you know you're rich. Full tank Fridays, yes. It's full tank Fridays. You say full up 90, top it up, etc. That's automotive petroleum. They sell 8790 diesel, ultra low sulfur diesel as well. And they have their own service stations. Now, at the time of IPO, they were only selling in an area in Savannah Lamar. That was not really a proper service station like you go into Texaco. It was much smaller, much smaller, and it was in South. Then some of the use of proceeds from the IPO was actually used to complete the construction of their first proper. Well, let me just say their second service station, which was in Paradise Pen, right? And they completed that. Trying to remember the time they completed that. They
Paradise
completed that
Park
last year.
or
Paradise
August?
Pen,
August. Oh,
August of last year, and I know there were delays because they said it in the first quarter of last year. So between January and March 2023, they were supposed to complete it, and I think a little bit after that, and delays, and it was finally completed in August, 2023. So there was that completion, and then after that, they opened another service station in Negril, which is also doing exceptionally well. Both him and the CFO, I think his name is Jerry Grant. I hope it's Jerry Grant. But they were saying that both service stations have exceeded their expectations. In fact, there's an article I want to show you. When
send it to me. I can pull it up.
Yeah. 1 second. I have so many articles open. Yes, here we go. It's an Or Today article. I'm gonna send it to you right now. Boom. But that, I want to just highlight a snippet of it. It says this growth was driven primarily, so their net profits quarter over quarter. So Q1 of this year, January to March, 2024, compared to January to March 2023, net profits are up 71%. And they're saying this growth was driven primarily by the construction of 2 new service stations. And, there was an 8% rise in LPG sales compared to the first quarter previous year. Notably, both its Westmoreland service stations have surpassed budget expectations and are performing profitably. So not only did they, construct these, and I think Negril Zone was finalized, I think January of this year. So it's Q1 of this year. It was fully, operational.
Mm-hmm. So I didn't see the full
And
impact.
yeah, we have not
You
seen the
notice
full impact.
The quarter, and I don't know exactly when in January they're open too.
I think it was sometime mid to late January. He was saying 2.5 months. So, and then even when it just opens, sometimes it takes a while to, see sales ramp up. So who knows what it will look like when, you see a full quarter of both Negril and Paradise Pen, along with Sav, what that would actually look like. And they said they're surpassing budget expectations. That sounds bullish to me. So I'm happy about that. Also, they have plans to open another service station. You see what I love about these companies, especially junior market companies, grow so rapidly, right? A lot of them, they grow so rapidly after listing, and I love CEOs like Andrew Williams who they talk about expansion. He speaks about expansion regionally and internationally too, but that's I soon talk about that. But yeah, he plans to open one on Spanish Town Road, close to, I think it was an old. There's another Gleaner article about that. See if I can find that, but it's an old lot.
This one.
Let me take a look. Is that it? Yes, that's it. Where he said there's an old lot. I think that's it. Scroll all the way down to the bottom one. I think it is.
Spanish Town Road, next door to the Trenchtown Fire Station.
Yeah, there we go.
Only service station for 2 kilometers.
In any direction. And Regency will be redeveloping a gas station that was closed during the 70s.
It's funny that he says that because, there's another gas station company that will be opening a gas station on that same road.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Is that company also listed?
Yes, it is.
By chance? Wow.
Yes.
What a small world.
Spanish Town Road. So the interesting part though is that RPL is going to get there first.
Yeah.
Fesco, I
Yeah,
think
because
it's hoping for next year. Like RPL is already ahead, but and then also Fesco's own seems to be more of like it's like a complex. It's gonna have, you know how, what's that big one they have
in Ferry.
on Ferry? Yeah, you know how like Ferry has, I think, the Tasties and
Yeah.
let me see if I can find it. That, and
But
it's a
I like
very
that
very
model
large
for
gas
gas
station.
stations. I love that model for gas stations, to be honest, because I stop at Ferry all the time before I go to Mandeville or before I do my country runs, and I'll grab like a patty or I'll grab something before I go. I might as well just top up on gas. It's such an ideal location.
Yeah. So I found that
Yeah.
interesting there. That shows you, I guess, that they're, and it's like, I'm hoping that it's gonna be interesting because if RPL or Regency opens first, then
Do you know
people
when
who
they
drive
plan to
that
open?
road, RPL,
Yeah,
they said,
this month,
let me see, yeah, by the end of
June.
Q2, which will be June,
Yeah,
yeah, and then Fesco I think is
yeah.
a year after. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's sometime 2025, yeah. So I'm saying is that
Yeah.
RPL opens first. The people that drive that road, they're gonna get maybe accustomed to RPL and stuff like that. But then the thing is that if Fesco can give like a better package, or it's not just a gas station, have a really nice convenience store. They have I think they're gonna have like a football field or something like that on the Fesco zone. So they're trying
Oh,
to make
wow.
it's a whole, yeah, it's like a whole big thing they're trying to make. It'll be interesting to see if um if there's enough business that both of them will be packed, or
Mm-hmm.
if there'll be like a competition, like fighting in between, not just on price, like oh who gets a better price, but who can also, if I want food, I want this. Yeah, RPL might be a little cheaper, but or say it was cheaper. I'm not sure which one is cheaper. But then, if I want the other stuff, then maybe I'll just go to Fesco. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it'll be
Who
interesting. I think
knows?
RPL needs to. It's good that RPL is moving there first, so they
Mm-hmm.
need to try to build out their, um, brand loyalty or yeah.
Funny enough, when you say brand loyalty, they have an exclusive like members card or so on. I'm not sure what the benefits are, but it's on their website where if you're a Jamaican, and so I think there might be discount for gas. I didn't look into it properly. I should have, but I like the initiatives that they're making. See, welcome to RPL
Club
Club membership.
Platinum, Club Gold.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know a
Mm-hmm.
platinum.
Yeah, Jamaicans love that.
By invitation only, though. Oh, okay.
Oh wow, wow. Okay, is there another one though? It's not just
Hold
platinum.
on.
There's a
RPL
gold.
thing.
No, say it aloud for all the
Personalized.
listeners.
Oh, yeah. So these are the benefits they're saying. You'll get personalized concierge slash butler assistance. Start your day or unwind with a complimentary hot or cold beverage of your choice, courtesy of
Wow.
our cafe parfait, with every fuel up over 9.5. So every time you fill your tank, you get some coffee or some drink. Indulge your palate with a delectable I'm pronouncing it parfait pastry on the house. So you get a pastry, you get a nice little drink. You get 10% discount when you buy at the convenience store. You get a complimentary engine oil check. Wait, but I mean, you have to pay for engine oil checks at other gas stations?
Well, do you get your engine oil checked at other gas stations?
I some so sometimes the only problem is that sometimes they don't know how to do it. If they know
Wait,
how to do it,
what?
they'll do it.
I've
Yeah,
never gotten my engine oil checked at a gas
you
station. That's
ask them.
crazy.
Have you ever asked them?
No, I just check it myself. Why may I go ask
Oh,
a next man for check my engine oil? What? What
oh
is the
boy.
first I'm hearing this? That's actually crazy. What? Preston, you
Standard.
asked somebody to check your engine oil?
Yes, because if they're already, hold on. Why?
Bro,
I don't
wait.
understand.
I'm sorry. You shouldn't be saying this so confidently on the podcast. What do you mean? You don't just check it, do the dipstick check. What?
Yeah, I know how to check it, but Why?
You
Hold on.
sure?
If you're at the gas station and they're already
Yeah.
popping up the hood, why wouldn't you just say, "Hey, could you check the engine oil for me, please?" And then if you
Why are
need
they
engine oil,
why are they
you can
popping
buy
the
it.
hood? Wait, wait,
Like
why are they
what?
popping the hood?
Well, no, I
Why
guess
are they
they
looking
usually
in the
no, they would pop it only if you ask for the engine oil. But yeah,
wow.
maintain crystal clear standard windscreen wash. I guess yeah, I guess I'd already get no windscreen wash attack, and I maintain optimal tire health, regular tire pressure checks, air refills on the house. You have, but then like, do you have to pay? You pay for to put air in your tire?
Good question. So some places, yes. I remember I think there was one time where I had to pay small change. Maybe it was $60. I don't remember how much it was for
Oh, okay. I
Fesco.
guess.
When
Oh
you get
wow.
like, so what they did was they have like the having the token. So there's a token that you go inside, you go to the cashier, you get a token. You go
Mm.
outside, you put the token in the air pressure machine thing, and then you just fill up your tires. So there was that. However, the last time I went to Fesco and did that by Beachwood, it was free. So I don't really know, but this is kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. Tell me,
Okay,
what
and
do you
then
get for gold? Oh,
for
also, I would
gold.
say that my car, I never have to pay over nine. Maybe once, and on EE, I think my entire gas tank may take 10 grand max. But the most I ever really spend is 9 grand. So I just miss out on the free pastries and the coffee because you need a top up of what 9.5. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, this one is the gold. I guess the gold will work for you then too, because they're saying once you spend over 6.5, you'll get a hot or cold beverage. You get 5% discounts once you spend over 6.5. 5% discounts at the convenience store. You get the well, yeah, so a lot of these stuff are kind of similar then. Complimentary engine oil, top up service, windscreen, regular tire checks. Interesting. Yeah. Does Fesco do something like this?
Not that I know of.
I know they have gift cards.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you were saying something before. I feel like we got distracted. So you said that they have the 3 gas stations. They just opened the third one January, and they're going to open one end of June. Well, they said
Yes,
like
there.
end of this quarter. So then you're not really gonna see it reflected in the Q2 numbers. You'll see
Nope.
everything likely reflected in the Q3 numbers.
Hopefully, if it is opened in this month, yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's so
You think there'll be
interesting
more
to me though.
delays?
I mean, there are always gonna be delays because it's not Andrew Williams building it himself. So it. I realize that's a thing in the business world. Like, yeah, you have your timelines, but there are always things that may
Yup.
derail your timelines.
Huge delays. Yeah.
And you're working with other people's time as well. What I love though is the fact that you know, Kingston is the hub, right? 1 million people live in Kingston and St. Andrew, right? So it just makes sense to move here because they are a Westmoreland company. I think they're incorporated. Their address is in Westmoreland. A lot of their things are in Westmoreland and Sainty. That's where their LPG facilities mainly are. So
Mm.
in order for them to get a bigger slice of that pie in terms of market share, it just makes sense to move to Kingston. So uh, the Spanish Town Road gas station will probably do very well for them. What I will also say is they borrowed money for that. There's I think a bond, I believe, by GK. It was 140. Sorry, no, 1.4 mil US. 1.4 mil US, and you guys can check that on the Jamaica Stock Exchange notice. Still all on My Money JA, of course. But I'm not sure if you found, yeah, you found it. So just reading it out. RPL raises US 1.4 million in secured notes due 2025. It's advised that privately placed by way of exempt distribution, basically arranged by GK Cap. And there are two tranches. Tranche A amounting to 600,000, issued June 30th, 2023, and tranche B 800,000 US, drawn down or on before September 29, 2023. So you can see that they've received a lot of the money, all of that money, sorry, the funds to build the Spanish Town Road service station. And you can see it in their balance sheet as well. In terms of long-term borrowings or long-term debt. But yeah, I mean, they're expanding. They're at a rapid rate, and I love this. Love this. So another thing I saw is franchising agreements. So it's something I realized Fesco does. So Fesco, you have certain type of service stations, company owned, company operated service stations, and you have dealer owned, dealer operated service stations, and then you have mixtures of both, right? Because so you can have you have dealer owned, company owned, dealer operated. You have different types. But one thing that Andrew Williams was saying is franchising arrangements, and I'll probably send the Gleaner article. Let me see if Preston can share
This
it,
one?
sending it in the chat.
This one?
How do you find them so fast? But franchising arrangements where existing or new retailers with their own infrastructure can sell petroleum products under the RPL brand. So he's bullish on those kind of partnerships and so on. So yeah, let's see where a lot of this goes. I think they've used the proceeds well. They did debt reduction from the IPO. They expanded a bit in terms of LPG, purchasing additional cylinders and so on, and getting that wider customer base via Just Gas. I thought that partnership was also pretty cool too. So there's a lot that can come from RPL in the future. I'm looking forward to seeing a lot more. I think a lot of the talks though that had me very scared. Should I say scared? Was of an APO. Don't know if you saw anything online about an APO, but when I was looking at some of and what's beautiful is the investor earnings calls via Learn Grow Invest. Big up Jermaine. For for Learn Grow Invest doing investor calls and so on, because it allows a lot of us, and big up Andrew Williams for coming on those kind of things. I think a lot of CEOs could take a page out of his book and just be more public with the things that the company is doing. Would love to see a lot more CEOs do that, because us as shareholders want information. We crave communication, from the CEO, from the board, etc. So kudos to them for doing that. There are very few companies that do earnings calls and so on. And hey, we could do a limitless earnings call. I'm just saying it's quite possible. We have the platform, we have everything ready. So if you guys are interested, you can reach out. If any CEO is interested and wants to do an earnings call with us, we'd facilitate that for sure. First one gets a steep limitless discount, right, Preston? Yeah. But we were talking about Fesco. Fesco is one of their competitors. And I guess because they have two major revenue lines, there are two major sets of competitors, right? If we're talking about, of course, automotive fuel, and we were talking about Fesco being, one of the major competitors, even on that same strip in 2025 on Spanish Town Road. Of course, you have people from the Sol group like Texaco, Rubis, etc. You have a lot more competitors, but the main listed one, of course, is Fesco in the automotive fuel industry. And then when we're talking about now the LPG market, LPG is dominated by Massey, right? Massey recently, I think last year, Not sure when last year, but they acquired
It goes 20.
IGL.
Oh yeah, I think they announced it late 2022, and then it ended up going through maybe by middle of
Yeah.
last year or something.
Yes, it was middle of last year where they entered into the agreement to acquire IGL. And
Mm-hmm.
based on those are two industry titans, that's about over 70% of the total
I see
cooking gas
different.
market
I see
in
different ranges for
Jamaica.
that. Like some stuff were saying 70, some more stuff were even saying almost like 80 or something percent.
Mm. The ones that I saw were from 70 were quoted by FTC, Fair Trade Commission. So I'm more likely to be inclined with, I mean, you still have other
Mm,
big players. Um, Petcom cooking
Petcom,
gas.
yeah.
Yeah. There's also a big player in there. You have Fest Gas, who is just breaking into the market as well. I think when I go to that side of the island, though, I see, is it Yardman? Yardman, I think, is probably their biggest competitor on that side of the island. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there would be. I don't know how I'd quantify that. But Yardman or Yaman, I think it's Yardman though. I'd have to let me look it up. But I see Yardman everywhere. Yeah, Yardman
But
gas.
yeah,
Yes.
essentially Regency has Regency, Fescor, Fesgas. They have a really big competitor because I mean, if you look at it, who owns Massey? Like Massey is a ridiculously huge company,
Yeah,
and
it's a conglomerate.
yeah, they have money, all the kind of money. And the interesting part was that I saw an article that was speaking about some of the plans that Massey had,
Mm-hmm.
because when they bought IGL, the interesting part about IGL is that IGL isn't just like cooking gas.
LPG.
They
Yeah.
are industrial gases, like medical gases. They do oxygen and things like that.
CO2. Yeah.
So I think they are
Agreed.
this sole manufacturer of oxygen on the island, and so like all the hospitals and different areas like that will need things like oxygen. So I think you notice, remember Massey cross listed,
Mm-hmm.
and they I think it was Barita that helped them to market it, and they did list a good while. This was 2022, early 2022, so it's been 2 years. And one of the reasons that they likely listed, I think, is to eventually raise money.
Yeah.
And they spoke about, there was an article that said that, for example, the amount of infrastructure that I think they want to do for, I think it was IGL, like they were saying that, it's a lot of money, and that they could possibly raise some money like on the JSE, and some of that money could go towards, for example, expanding IGL and that
Mm-hmm.
that arm of the IGL thing. So I think it's interesting because Regency, I wish they told us, well, maybe in the prospectus they had told us like how much of the market they have, but it still is like a small portion of the market, and they're gonna have like a lot of competition. So it'll be interesting to see how they're able to navigate that space. How loyal are their customers? They're gonna have to find some creative ways to compete with Massey, with Gas Pro, and also IGL Gas.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that space is super competitive. Super, super
I think
competitive.
they're like 30. I saw the last thing was like 13 or 14 different people, like different
Yeah.
businesses in the cooking
Yeah.
gas space in Jamaica.
It is heavy. Um, well, I mean, who benefits from competition? Customers benefit the most from competition. So I welcome. See, when Massey took over IGL, I was like, wow, that's a huge. Firstly, having a monopoly is never a great thing. Um, for us as customers, consumers, even retail investors. Not necessarily. There are points where you can, but point I'm making is competition is always nice in the space. It causes people to innovate, and it keeps prices. You can always find like deals and so on. So I don't mind the competition, to be honest. I like that Fesco is also going into it, but I want to see more of RPL's presence growing in the LPG market. I know it is capital intensive for the retail. So what I want to say is, I think Andrew Williams spoke about increasing revenues via LPG by 50%. I don't think there's an article about that. There's a targets 50% increase in bulk LPG revenues, but I don't think there was a timeline for that. Maybe he said it, but it wasn't in the article that I looked through. So I'd love like certain timelines and so on. But yeah, I mean, you know, I guess one thing we can also look at is the top 10. I think you'd like to see the top 10. And this is where, when people speak about RPL doing an APO to possibly fund another gas station or so on, or I'm not sure why they would need an APO yet, or you know, a lot was thrown around in the last earnings call between APO, rights issue. A lot of terms were thrown around, but one thing I like is when Jerry Grant spoke to it, and I love when the CFOs talk to it because they know money, right? And when Jerry Grant spoke about it, he said, in terms of doing an APO, there are implications for the value of the shares, which means
He
they
said
know.
that?
Yes, yes. There are implications for the value of the shares whenever they're doing equity raises. And this was in regards to, I think, a question with somebody asking about APO. So people know, you know. And here's the thing: when you look at top 10, look at the top 10 again. Show me the top 10. The top
Yeah,
10. Look at
80% is Andrew.
Andrew owns
And the max.
80%. Yes.
The max he can own.
And so for me, it's like, my thing is, if I own this much of the company, from before I was the sole shareholder. Now, yeah, before IPO, I think he was the sole shareholder, you know, and GK just gave him a loan, and the loan was converted and all of this. And now it's gotten to this stage, where, you know, I own 80%. I, I, you know, just looking on the trajectory, looking on the history, doesn't sound like he wants to be diluted, right? Sounds like he wants, you know, to maintain the value of his shares. So when I heard Jerry Grant say that, I was just like, if they do a raise, and everybody's balling for, you know, if you look in that same interview, and I guess we will link it in the description as well, that earnings call. Big up Learn Grow Invest again for doing earnings calls. But a lot of shareholders or potential shareholders or just people in the comments were asking about, you know, preemptive rights, this, that. And, you know, we could segue into, you know, the next episode, which is probably going to be rights issue versus APO, which we need to drop an episode about that. But, you know, a lot of the shareholders feel it. They really want to, you know, have first right. You know, they don't want their preemptive rights removed. So yeah, I just think that if Andrew is doing a raise, in his best interest, if he understands rights issue versus APO, I think he is the type of person that would more go for a rights issue, especially based on also what Jerry says. So yeah, you got. I mean, you can look through. You can probably find the part where where he said that. But it's just it's a tiny portion. I don't even know how I can find it. I was just medicing it on 2 times speed, but yeah, there was. It's not like they don't know. They know the implications, and so it is. And it doesn't sound like they have plans to raise right now at all. So let me just put that out there. I don't think they plan to do a raise at all right now. Maybe by next AGM they'll probably say something, but their previous AGM was at what 2 months ago, a month ago. So yeah, that's part of RPL. I know he wants to expand regionally and internationally. He always talks about that expansion in the long term. Um, you know, I've seen even where GK investment increases, like throughout the year, they increase their stake. Like if you look at the top 10 and how the top 10 changes, you can actually see how GK increases their stake. So they back RPL significantly as well. So yeah, good company, one to watch. Growing significantly. Profits up 71% quarter over quarter. He also speaks about wanting to pay dividends as well. But he was saying after seeing how the service stations do for I think 2 full quarters, and he'd consider it. And I agree with that. I'm if I was a shareholder, I'm in no rush to get dividends. I want the company to grow so that when the dividends come, the dividends they look nice. So yeah,
Yeah. Oh, I think I found the part you're talking about.
really. Implication for the value of the shares. Well, the thing is, I can't hear. I don't know if the listeners can hear, but I definitely can't hear.
Yeah. No, it's all right. Okay. And then other thing too, I guess we can mention is that if you look at where RPL has come from, RPL just like Learn IPO'd at $1, and to
Mm-hmm.
this day it's at trading at $2.13. It's more than doubled your money since
Yeah,
investing,
yeah.
and it was coming from a high of like $3
Mm-hmm.
mid 2023. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything else to add?
For RPL, not necessarily. I will just say, guys, if you want us to do more content like this, or just break down certain stocks, break down tickers, all right, break down some companies. And by the way, we call it tickers because that's literally what it is when it's listed on the stock exchange. The words that you see, so RPL, um, learn LEAR, all those are called tickers, right? So if you want us to talk more about tickers, just leave a like, drop a comment as to what you want to hear from us, and what we'll also do is leave the link for the Slido in the description. So if there's a particular stock you guys want to talk about, we will take it into consideration. I mean, the top two are usually what we're gonna talk about, if as long as it doesn't repeat. Um, but yeah, guys, if you liked it, thumbs up on the video. If you loved it, subscribe. All right, and we'll be back for another episode of Tickers. Thank you again. Limitless out.
Peace.